One of the advantages of getting older, if not the only advantage, is that things that weren't available to you because they were too expensive and unobtainable in your feckless and reckless youth become available cheaply on the second-hand market. And sometimes you can go and buy them for no reason. So in this video, I bought an Octapad. Let's take a look at it. So let's take a quick look around the Octapad. So as you can see, here it is. And it looks traditionally futuristic as Roland gear did. So I really think this is why I liked Roland gear when I was younger, because I didn't know any better and it looked like it had just fallen off the nearest spaceship. So it just looks cool to my 13-year-old self. Anyway, this was released, I think, in 1988, this kind of thing. So I'm not sure how long they were around for. We'll put some figures up on screen. And by today's standards, it's pretty basic. So we've got some ability to change patches on here. So you can change the MIDI output notes for these and also the sensitivity, etc. But that's pretty much it. So if we just take a look here, you can see I've got the max screen up now, and we'll see if we're getting any MIDI out of it. So there you can see the velocity coming out of that. Similar on that, although it's a bit pickier. Yep. Oh. Right, nothing coming out of that. Something out of that. Nothing out of that. And very little out of that. So we've got maybe five pads working. And you can see the little velocity meter here. So when we tap it again, if I tap it in the right place, you can see the LEDs going. But this looks like it's suffering from what's pretty common with Octapads, which is the piezo pads, which are underneath each of these fail, which I guess you can imagine, would happen. This is, after all, over probably 30 years old. So this could be a 1988 one. I don't know if there's any Roland serial number, date locator like you can get for guitars. But it certainly needs something doing to it for it to be returned to full function. But before we take a look at that, let's look at a few other functions which we have on here. So here you can see the available controls, and you can see at the moment we're in patch 11, which is named as TR505 drums. So these will map, hopefully, to the pads on a 505. And we can change bank, or we can change patch within that bank. So you've got 8 patches within each bank. We can see we're going through different Roland, including D110, the classic Roland D110. And then in the next bank, we've got some different named ones, etc. So that's pretty straightforward. You can imagine that would be pretty easy to use in a live performance situation, which is what this was envisaged at. So actually there's a big bracket which can go on the back, which can then be clamped into, a standard drum stand, etc. So it can be set up for a drummer to use. And if you want to edit anything, there's a switch on the back. So I'll just show you a picture of that, but there's this little slide switch at the back. And once you go into edit mode here, you can edit pretty much everything about the patch here. So what channel we're on, for instance, the note number on this. So at the moment we're editing pad 8 and it's putting out note number 42. The gate time, velocity curve, and sensitivity. So you can see, full disclosure, I actually put the velocity sensitivity all the way up before this. So these pads are probably more duff than they actually seem. So that's turned up. We can set program changes, etc. We've got all sorts of things, pan, and we're back to MIDI channel, etc. So there's a fair bit to go through here. I'm not going to bore you by going through everything, but it's reasonably customizable, and certainly, particularly for a live performance situation, I think this would work pretty well. I knew somebody had one back in the day, and he used it to great effect for it to sample, trigger samples, which was, mind-blowing at the time, because this was the mid-90s and not that many people, not that many drummers were into that kind of thing, and it really transformed what he could do when he was playing live. So now what we're going to do is take the unit parts. I'm just going to power it off, turn it over and take the screws out the back, and hopefully that will give us access to the piezo pads, which I'm hoping have failed rather than it being any of the electronics inside. So here's the bottom of the Roland, and let's get some screws out and see if we can get it apart. And there you have it. So on this side, we've got all the electronics, which I'll uncover in a second. And here we have what are hopefully the offending items, which are the piezo triggers. So you notice that there's one for each pad, but there's also two on the chassis, which is designed to reject general vibration and only respond to the pads being hit. And there you can see the main circuit board of the Octapad. And as you can imagine, all of this would probably be contained in one single microcontroller today, rather than the many chips which are involved in this model from the late 80s. And there you can see in all its glory the main board of the Octapad II, which pretty much looks like a home computer of the era. There's plenty going on there, chip and external circuitry wise. What it looks like here is we've got the 8 circuits which process the incoming signals from the piezo transducers. We've got what looks like probably an EEPROM. There we've got the what look like the 8 processing paths for the piezo signals. And we've also got what looks like an EEPROM and a CPU. We'll have a look at those. I'll do some lookups, just do a bit of part nerdery. This isn't going to turn into Big Clive. I'm definitely not that in-depth and talented. But it's interesting seeing the kind of technology which is now probably going to be just one chip and a bit of external processing circuitry. However, the next task is to buy some replacement piezo elements for the pads, so there may be a short intermission. Please buy drinks and snacks at the canteen, and we'll see you in an indeterminate time. As ever, I hope you found this video informative, if nothing else, and at least you know what it looks like inside an Octapad II. If you're new to the channel, have a look around. It's mostly Cubase stuff, but there's some more general music tech stuff, etc. And hopefully we'll see you again soon for more music tech tuition.